Today I want to discuss something that was highly requested on the channel about my trading story and some of the toughest moments I've faced, how I overcome them, and more about these things that are hard in trading and how to get across and get some good results from them. So the sad thing about becoming a trader is the fact that if you go online and you look at these YouTubers, people talking about trading on blogs or YouTube or whatever, they all talk about the good things and the things that go well in their life and how amazing trading is. It gives them a good monthly profit, it gives them what they need in life. They can buy their Lambo, their house, their condo, whatever. But they don't talk about the tough parts. And there's been moments in my trading career that not made me want to necessarily give up, but that made me think about if trading was the right fit for me, or if I was really able to do what I want to do, which is trading full-time, and if I was really able to get there or not. So here are the 3 most difficult moments in my trading journey overall, on these last 8 years of trading or so. Let's go in chronological order. That first moment was having my first margin call in around 2014 or so, and having to pour money on the market over and over again. So back at that time, I had this great idea of finding out a strategy that I could trade in the market. So I researched online for a while. I bought a course teaching some strategies that were really basic, but they were supposed to work in the market. And I came with this strategy of trading basically zones and engulfing candles. Back then, that was the basic. Of course, there were some things with that and things, but that was the basic premise. And I was comfortable with that strategy. I backlisted it a lot. I got some good results, some good data with it, and I was ready to trade it live. And I did it for some time. The results were not amazing, but still decent, and I was still making some slight profits sometimes. And that got me to one day seeing a perfect setup on the S&P 500, so the SPX 500, on my Forex broker. And I thought, well, that's a really good trade, I'll take it. Now, if you know the S&P 500, and if you have a small account, you know for a fact that the way you trade this is different. First of all, the S&P doesn't have that much margin compared to any Forex pair, and the amount of the S&P is much bigger than a currency pair. A currency pair, you could technically be able to buy 1 unit with a broker that allows that. But the S&P, you cannot do that. But with the S&P, you gotta buy also 1 unit. That's the minimum. You cannot buy a half or a third. It has to be 1 unit. And 1 unit would cost, in that time, around like $2,000 or maybe less than that. So it's pretty high. It takes a lot of margin to do that. My account was a bit beyond $1,000 or so. So I didn't have that much. That's only like about a year and a half in my trading journey. So not that much there. So I took the trade, and quickly price started to go in my favor, but then went back down against me. That was a long trade, so in the trend, I was not that stupid to go and trade against the S&P, but I traded with the trend. And at that time, there was a pretty big retracement on the S&P. So I was looking to buy, expecting a move to the upside on that index. So I took my trade. It went in my favor for a while, went back down against me. But this setup looked like just perfect to me at the time. It was the setup that I was looking for a long time. And I thought, well, this is nowhere going to come back down. It's the perfect setup. Based on the strategy I learned, it was supposed to go back up. So I took one more trade, same risk. And the risk wasn't that high, like about 2% per trade. But the thing is, I added them up over time. So I had this first trade, I put the second trade, then price went back. I put this third trade because I had a second setup appearing in the market. So the same setup I had the first time appeared again in the market. Took another trade for that. So I had 3 trades there with 6% in my account. And I probably took a few more overall. So I had this big risk. Now what happened is I would have some stop loss for some of them. Some of them were hit first, but some of them were like bigger stop losses that were more far, because I thought I should give the trade some room. I heard in some books that if you want to have your trades win, then you got to give them some room, especially when it pulls back against you. Bad idea, of course. So I just let this go, and one day I received an email from my broker, because price just went down and down and down further. I received an email from my broker saying that I was close to getting a margin call, and that if I would not close my trades, or if I would not find a way to reduce my losses, then they would give me a margin call. So a margin call is when they close all your trades, all your positions, and you're stuck with whatever loss or profit or whatever you had in that trade, which is not fun to have. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. The next day it's going to come back up. This S&P is going to be in profit. I'll be all fine. So no need to worry about it. And then the next day or 2 days after, I received another email from the broker saying that now I was in margin call and that they closed all my position on that trade. So I pretty much didn't have any choice there. They closed all the trades, and I was stuck in a loss of like 30% of my account, which was pretty big at the time. It was about 30%, and I couldn't do anything about it. Now, it was frustrating for me because first I had the right strategy. I was trading something that I had tested before. I knew what I was doing in the market a little bit more than before, or actually I thought. which I probably didn't know much about what I was doing in the market, but I still had some plan and some strategy to go about it. What I forgot, of course, and what I didn't learn back then yet, is that you cannot be certain on any trade. Any trade could be a loss or a win, you cannot know ever. So there's no way to predict because your setup looks perfect, that's going to be a perfect trade. And that's something I've learned now, and that's why I never take now 2 trades on one pair or multiple correlated trades, because they could all go against you. And so that was a tough time, but it taught me more about not being too involved in the market on one specific index or pair or instrument or whatever, and also not being adding trades over time. So that was a tough one, because that 30% to me meant a lot. Even though the capital wasn't that big back then, like only like $1,000 or so, it was still a pretty big chunk of money lost, and I never really recovered from that loss on that account. Of course, eventually I went full-time and things, but I never were able to recover on that account specifically. I had to put more money to be able to recover from that loss. Now the second tough moment in my trading journey was a bit after this, actually a lot after this, when I went full-time in trading in 2017. And that was when my first full-time drawdown started. So I went full-time in 2017, I began to travel and I had a lot of fun and things went really well. I was enjoying myself in China and around Asia, and that was cool. But then I got to this point where things went well for the first few months, but then I hit this drawdown about 3 to 6 months after I went full-time. And I didn't really have any experience back then on dealing with drawdowns. I had dealt with drawdowns before, but never full-time. Never when that's your biggest income that you have to rely on for being able to travel and pay your hotel or whatever that is. So I had some money saved, of course. I didn't go full-time without any money saved in the banks, but it was still pretty frustrating and pretty tough to deal with that drawdown since I was traveling. So that drawdown lasted for about 3 months or so, and 3 months of having either like small gains or losses every month. And I was trading the same strategy I traded before. Nothing changed much except a few mistakes I was doing. I eventually had to go back home in Canada to just kind of sit down, reevaluate all my trades. It was hard to do this while traveling because I was always like busy on the go doing things. So I had to go back, sit down a bit, look at my trades, and then find out the mistakes I was doing to be able to solidify my trading, get back on track. That was really frustrating because I was traveling. I had all these things I wanted to be able to do. I wanted to be able to also show people here on YouTube, because I was doing videos that I could trade and travel. So that added pressure here was even worse to the whole process, and it led to this drawdown of basically having a few losing trades and then making a few mistakes because I was trying to trade different markets and different instruments to make more profits and to recover from that drawdown, and getting in a place where I was trading different time frames, not knowing what I was doing much, and making a few mistakes in my entries as well. And so all that was pretty frustrating, but I feel like I had to go through that first to be able to learn how to recover from drawdowns being full-time. If that didn't happen then, it would happen later for sure, and I would be in a maybe worse place, but that's something that I'm glad happened, even though it was pretty tough at the time. By the way, let me know in the comment below if you have ever experienced a drawdown like this, either full-time or being part-time. I'm curious to know your thoughts and experience, how you recover, what happened, so that of course other people here can be inspired and other people can read through the comments and see how you've been able to recover. Now, my third toughest moment in trading, and I want to go back in time a little bit. I thought I would do this chronologically, but it didn't really happen. So my third toughest moment here in trading was me wanting to leave my job and trade full-time but having no capital to do so. That was my last year being in university, and I had done some jobs and internship before that to save money, and I had some money in the bank, but just not enough to be able to trade full-time. As you know, and I realized this back then when I talked to other traders, some people I talked to that were trading full-time had to work a job 10 years, like a pretty good corporate job, to be able to save enough money to go full-time. And that's not what I want to do at all, because for them working 10 years was maybe alright, but for me I was horrified by it, and I wanted to be able to, as soon as I finish university, go to travel and not think about a job and just make money trading. But the issue here, as you know, is you need capital to do that. And based on the calculation I did back then, I needed at least to have $50,000 minimum to be able to go full-time and travel. And that's by being able to spend reasonably low amounts of money while traveling, like about $1,000 per month, $2,000 per month maximum, and not more than that. So I didn't have that capital at all back then, and I was kind of like pissed off about it because I learned this trading thing, and this was supposed to be easy to be able to go full-time. I was supposed to be able to make profits, but I was not much because of my capital. If you've traded with about $5,000 account before, you know how much return you make a month, right? Not much. About $100, $200, $300 maybe. And that cannot really sustain you to go full-time. Now, one of my trader friends back then, who used to work for a pretty big bank in Canada, recommended me to look for funded accounts online. They had a couple of firms online that offer that, and most of the firms back then, this is like about 4 or 5 years or so ago, they would ask you to put at least 5K upfront for them to give you capital, and you have to basically cover for all the losses. So you get a like 100K account or 50K account, you pay $5,000 to them, they keep it, and if you lose, then they take the loss on the capital. Now for me that was tough because I didn't have that much money back then, just finishing off university, and it would be impossible for me to put 5K there and just not touch it and have an account that was even not sure I could really trade with to begin with. So I took this idea and I said, well, this is my last resort. If I find nothing else, I'll do that. But eventually I came to an investor that offered me some money to trade for him. A simple guy that went to a trader meetup that didn't really want to trade his money by himself and gave me money to trade for him. And I was able to trade that money a little bit. And it took me some time to be able to scale up and go to a place where I was trading this amount of money, like on a $50 risk with my 5K account. But then I had to go to like more than that because he gave me at first $70,000 to trade with, and I was able to increase that if I had good returns for that person. So it took me a while to scale up and to level up to get to that proper risk in this account. Eventually I did, and I was able to start traveling after I finished university. So all that was for sure a lot of pressure that I was not sure I could be able to handle as a trader, as someone who wanted to trade full-time. But I eventually did it, and I'm glad I did. That challenge of trading for someone else was also a big thing that I'm also glad I did, for the fact that you get much more stable when you get traded for someone else. There's a bit more pressure, but you have to show up every day, treat it like a job, take it seriously, and that is something that I needed back then a lot. So I'm glad I did that, and I was able to provide that investor some returns. I was able to save some money also from that account that I was managing. We would do a half split. So I was able to save 50% of my profit, which was pretty good. I put this in the bank, didn't use it much, but I used it for traveling a little bit, but not that much. And I had some savings too, of course, and eventually went to trade my own account while traveling. So all these things, they happened about at the same time. Maybe I'll do a video later where I talk about more of the challenge of being full-time and what happened when I went full-time, and later after that, other challenges there. If you want to hear that, let me know below by leaving a comment. I want to start to get more involved and do some coaching with you guys. So if you guys are up to some coachings and you're serious about becoming a full-time trader this year, check out the link below to apply. I'll do a call with you, we'll see if that's a good fit, if I can help you out or not, and see how we can proceed with that. Now I'm really busy right now, so my time is going to be of course limited, but I'll take a few people here and there, and you can schedule there, and you will see the availability on the calendar. If nothing's available, just wait a few days, it might be available again, and let's hope we can work together to help you achieve good results this year. Subscribe if you're not done yet. I publish a video like this 3 times a week. I'm trying to get back to every single day or so to be able to help you get more advice and get more support as you become a full-time trader this year or pretty soon. And I'll catch you back here in the next video. Ciao.